Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Real United States. I'm your host, Paul Campbell, and behind the camera, as always, is our camera operator and my wife, Beverly Campbell. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Today in the United States is Martin Luther King Day, a federal holiday celebrating the birth and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a pastor, humanitarian, and civil rights leader of the mid-20th century. We are here at the Martin Luther King Memorial in downtown Washington, D.C., just outside of the National Mall. Now, Dr. King was the most influential civil rights leader of the mid-20th century. In what was a landmark speech, now referred to as the I Have a Dream speech, given not far from here on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he brought civil rights to the forefront of American politics in the 1960s and was largely responsible for the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Since that time, the United States has chosen to celebrate his birth and works on the second or third Monday in January. Dr. King was born on January 15th in 1929, and it is now a federal holiday since the passage of the bill to make it a holiday in 1986. So on August 28th, 1964, Dr. King stood in this very location and gave the famous I Have a Dream speech. Of that speech, perhaps the most monumental line, and it was ad-libbed: "I have a dream, my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." And that speaks volumes about Dr. King and his efforts in the civil rights movement of the mid-1960s. He gave that speech here in this exact spot on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial for obvious reasons. Lincoln, obviously the president at the time of the Emancipation Proclamation and during our Civil War, which ended slavery here in the United States. In 2011, after approximately 2 decades of planning, fundraising, and construction, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial was built here in Washington, D.C. and opened in August of 2011. So we're pleased to be here and share this with you. You can see it's a beautiful setting, these large granite walls, retaining walls here with his name carved in them. And just off here to my right, we're going to show you is the monument in Dr. King's honor. You see quite a group of people have gathered to have their picture taken here by Dr. King's memorial. Everybody seems to be having a very good time, very pleased to have made it here. Now you get some idea of the scale of this monument compared to the people standing at its base. It's a massive monument. It's probably nigh on to 40 feet tall. I can actually look that number up and put it in the description below. And what it's carved out of. It is carved out of a solid block of stone. The entire area is surrounded by a granite wall with many of his quotes inscripted on the wall. It's a beautiful memorial. We're right here on the edge of the tidal basin across from the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. Now, unfortunately, Dr. King was assassinated in 1968 while organizing a rally again to come to Washington, D.C. as part of the civil rights movement. There was a great deal of conflict that happened after that. There was a lot of civil unrest, but those days have passed, and I think that now that the words of Dr. King have soaked in and a lot of people are embracing them. You can see that this memorial is designed in 2 pieces, or 3 pieces actually. That this piece here is actually representative of a piece of stone that's slid out of a sculpted mountain in the background. And it's inscribed on the side, Now this three-piece stone representation of this piece slid out of the mountain depicts what's stated here. Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope. And I think that Dr. King was in fact that. He was a stone of hope in a very dark time in American history and did more good throughout the 20th century than probably anybody else individually did towards the advancement of civil rights. Now, one of the other things I'd like to mention about Dr. King is that in October of 1964, Dr. King was awarded the very prestigious Nobel Peace Prize for his work in advancing equal rights through nonviolence. One of the issues I'd like to make is that Dr. King was a strong advocate of nonviolent protests, of nonviolent actions. And that was very important during the mid-20th century, especially in the 1960s, when tensions in the United States had escalated to the point where there was some violence. He was very much against this and very much wanted us to come to a peaceful resolution to the problems of the day. I also want to mention here that this statue is in fact carved out of a solid block of granite. Now that I'm close enough to it, I can see that. It was carved, there's a date on the side in 2010, and I can't imagine the work that went into chopping this out of a solid piece of granite. And I can't imagine what the weight is. It's probably online someplace. An absolutely magnificent statue of Dr. King, very stately looking individual. And it's really quite a nice thing. I've never gotten an opportunity to come to this memorial before. It's only been here a few years. And it's just a magnificent thing. If you're in Washington, D.C., it's certainly something you want to stop and see. So of all the quotes that are inscribed here on this granite wall, this one especially spoke to me from Dr. King. That if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties must become ecumenical rather than sectional. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation. And this means we must develop a world perspective. Certainly Dr. King, a believer in pluralism, the acceptance of many ideas, and just a wonderful orator and a wonderful human being. So we'd like to wish everyone here in the United States a happy Martin Luther King Day, and everyone overseas, thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed joining us here on this holiday. We'd like to thank you for joining us on The Real United States. We'd like to ask you to subscribe and join us for future adventures. If you have questions or comments, please leave in the comments section below. I try to get back to everybody as soon as I possibly can. I do my best to answer whatever your questions may be, or just stop in and say hi. We love hearing from everyone. And as always, thank you for watching.